There we go. Apologies, recording is actually on now. Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started with, or no, you added prompt migration for the topic?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the docs. We basically create okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm a little sick, so I'm a little slow about everything. Basically, for context, I'm part of the Kubernetes infrastructure group. One of the mission is to basically migrate most of the workload we had inside Google to a common infrastructure. And in that effort, we start a conversation with Mitchell, which kind of represent GK Eng prod in some extent to have this conversation because Proud control plane currently run inside Google infrastructure. So we have this conversation. So I want to bring this back so we get moving about this. So we don't have a migration plan right now because one of the blocker we have is basically all the Proud job running inside the build cluster owned by Google. There's an effort to migrate that. Currently, that's one of the blocker, but at the same time, I feel like I basically request in the past some kind of help from GK Eng Pro to basically establish a migration plan. So that's why I'm here. To answer any question regarding the migration plan.
Yeah, I'll jump in and say that I have been taking like a rough look at this for sometimes, but I also think I need to go and ping folks to take another look and double check if there's like specific things that we can be doing. I believe one of the proposals though that might allow us to do this a little bit more gradually is once there is a community owned control plane stood up, hopefully we can migrate things repo by repo, especially to start. And on that side, I think it would be useful to do like a quick bit of scripting or tooling to figure out like, are there ones that we can start migrating because like those ones are unblocked by which jobs they have onboarded on community or not. Because some of them like definitely I agree are blockers, but there's got to be some things that would be okay on the new control plane that we can use to test a switch over. Hopefully. I need to confirm those details with some folks who are a bit more experienced with Cloud just to double check that that makes sense. But I think the other nice thing would be I forget if you had or somebody else had outlined a potential timeline for this happening. But like in terms of trying to make sure we have a migration plan sort of nailed down and like starting to be able to do something about it. Was there like is there a good like set of dates that we should try to sit down to motivate folks to get feedback in?
And basically, behind basically close conversation, there's an intent to basically have a communication that we want to basically do that during summer. That will be our target date. So we're trying to basically do the migration to this during summer. So, but basically there's no official communication about this, which still communicate. So the idea would be to basically if the communication goes out, that basically kick the clock to do the migration for Pro itself, because we will basically enforce some kind of policy, enforce everyone in the community to basically use the community environment at the same time, which is if we give a 5 months, I would say notice, that means we have basically 5 months to figure out the migration plan and basically have everything ready for the migration. Because we attempt, it's an attempt to do that this year. And I think summer would be a moment to do that between 131 and 130. Basically, between Kubernetes 131 and Kubernetes 132. So basically, that gap of non-release activity, we could use that to basically do the switch.
Okay. So if it sounds like summer for the Switch, which I think, especially with the release timing, that makes a lot of sense. Then plan hammered out before then, and hopefully tested before like we send out larger communications of like, here's how we're going to do it. Like, ideally, I think it should be possible to test with a couple like low risk things to iron out some of the basic things that might go wrong, and then say like, here's the plan. We've tested it with a couple things. That should happen, I guess, before what, May?
Yeah, May sounds great. To do the migration of Brow, or basically to define basically we have a migration plan. Yeah, to do the migration itself, May will be great, but the thing is we have like technical blockers, which are the prod jobs. So that's like because we are not we don't migrate everything. We basically migrate those we need, and that basically useful for the community. Some jobs may not be able to migrate because they are basically Google specific. Like I will pick an example. There's like one job updating Google Calendar for the on-call team. There's no point to basically do migration, the auto bumper for proud, those kind of things. So we're trying to basically break down which prob job need to be migrated. Those we can because either credential or either Google specifics. Once we have that place, we can basically say, okay, we are to the point. So May is like could be a good date, and that forces us to basically to push the community to take up the project and do the migration. So I don't exactly know. Maybe next meeting I can push Ben to come and we can have this conversation also.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. My guess then would be plan should be hammered out by end of March in order to give enough time for like communications and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ideally earlier, but also I kind of dropped the ball on like making sure that folks have enough time to review. So that was my bad. So end of March, hammer out plan, testing sometime between then, and then like aim for May or maybe June, depending on how it's looking for like starting communications and like hey, we're actually doing the migration for real and we've tested it a bit.
Yeah, the thing is there's a good chance we start communication and basically say, okay, we're gonna basically move the proud job even before we do the migration. And basically by end of March we have a migration plan ready. We can communicate on basically the date. I feel like it's gonna be a week. But if you tell me, yeah, it's gonna be a day, yeah, that's fine for me.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Cool. Anything else to say on that? Or does anybody else also want to comment? Cool. That sounds great. Antonio, it looks like you have an item on the agenda for cop shops.
Yeah, that's I I got pinged in this bag, and now with the cloud provider external move and the cost migration, there is a lot of noise. And now I'm finding in different places that the cops jobs are tuning the deployment of cops to deal with to compensate some problems. So, for example, the scale testing is setting some node IP and host name override to deal with the latency of the controller. And this one is doing hostname override too for doing whatever and has some consequences. So I want to know which cops jobs are going to be the jobs that are going to test the CI, because as SIG testing, I don't like to have jobs customized for environments for testing Kubernetes. I don't know. I mean, I want to fail the job if something in Kubernetes is not working, not the job compensating the problem of Kubernetes. So I don't know if somebody is familiar with these jobs or not.
Do we know who owns them? Or like do we have an owning? I guess in yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have a complete answer on this, but basically, we had a cap to basically work. For context, there's a cap to walk away from kubeops.sh to use kops as basically a deployer for any CI job. But the cap is not in a state where we should consider kops for all those jobs. So the issue basically. So I don't think we need to track those jobs. They are failing, and they have been failing for a very, very long time. I don't think there's a need of basically SIG testing should track them because those are basically specific to KOps and it's not done. Looking at the issue reports, it's just there's a report that that
No, that's the question. I don't know. Is which jobs are going to be the replacement of the current jobs? Because if people start to modify jobs to compensate, I start to be scared. As
the
okay, this works in cops when the rest of the world, what is going
no
to do?
the main intent initially based on what I read in the cap is basically to replace everything. Well, basically any proud job running a E2E test against the KK
Yeah, yeah.
report should basically be chaos. But we are in the state where we are not ready for that. So whatever we're trying to monitor, I will not suggest people to monitor those chaos jobs because
Okay,
some
okay.
are like failing for, I would say, lack of understanding of those tests or failing for a very long reason or flaky for a very long time. So I think there's like some were added basically just because they are specific to a cloud provider.
No, I'm fine with that. I just want to, it's what we have is not great, but at least it's the thing that we know that is not great. But now, if
Yeah,
somebody changes for something, and now, okay, this is not running. Okay, how is this not running? So what are we testing here? No, because we replaced this with this flag that the doc says. Okay, look, the docs and the flags has bugs too. So I that's
I
quite
think yeah, talk to Mohammed about it because I'm not driving this, and basically this is like a thick testing cap, and as a TL you can say no, we are not ready to
No,
basically monitor all
I'm
of
not
this.
saying no. Look, people is doing job. What I'm trying to say is let's do the job in one direction, right? This is about all. I'm never going to stop people for doing job. What I'm trying to say, look, is you cannot compensate on the job. If it fails, please keep it failing so we fix the bug.
Yeah, and you can transfer most of the issues to the KOps repo if you feel like those are
No,
basically.
it's okay. It's just because I found 2 bugs in 1 week, and then I started to say, okay, this is start to pop up now because is this work that is going on, or it is just coincidence? And it seems it's coincidence.
The one tip about KOps is basically we don't use the load balancer in the KK repo. We use the one maintained by the AWS team.
Yeah,
For each,
but I mean, those are the questions that we all need to be aware, right? Because if somebody open a bug against a load balancer and I go there and then I start to look and okay, this is not running any controller. What is this thing? So that's the part that we need to be more. That's why I asked to write the get to Mohammed, right? It's at least documented somewhere that we did this change. It's just that. Don't so forget about my comment and that's it. So who is going to QCOM? No, it's in Paris. I mean, you practically go walking.
I
I'm
mean,
planning to attend NA, but not EU this year. Sorry.
Let's say again. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, sorry. I'm planning to try and make it to KubeCon NA this year, but not EU.
Ah,
But I do
oh,
hope everybody in EU has a good time.
yeah, it's tough. Well,
That actually reminds me, I don't know if anybody signed up yet, but I think there were a couple things that were called for the Cube County Youth. If anybody is attending and is interested. So I think Contributor Summit is looking for some volunteers if anybody has time. And there's also the what was formerly the SIG meet and greet, and I think is renamed to Kubernetes meet and greet or something similar. But basically, if there's anybody from SIG testing who's going and wants to be a rep at that event, then I think we can just add you on the issue. I posted about it in Slack earlier last week. So yeah, if anybody is interested, I think feel free to just like reply somewhere. Thank you, Erna.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention I'm the co-lead for the Contributor Summit, and basically also the MKey CC.
Awesome.
Yeah, like Michelle said, I think we have like a forum open for people interested to volunteer during the Contributor Summit, because it might be, yeah, there's like, we have multiple sessions over different rooms, and we basically need people to basically run those rooms. So, yes, I see Andres.
Yeah, so I had some problems, technical issues. It was the first time with Zoom. I just wanted to introduce, if it's the right moment now.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay, so hey, I'm Sotiris. I just joined in the Ericsson open source company, Ericsson Software Technology. We have something that we would like to patch, and they told me, okay, go there a couple of months and see what the people are doing and how they're doing. So it's my third week now. I'm very good impressions. So I found very interesting the sixth testing, and I have like two questions. If this is the right fora, I mean, it's like if there is I do some tests manually in my laptop, so I use the local app cluster. Since I'm focusing in tests in CPU pinning, this is my corner case that we are interested. So my question is, if I would like to propose an improvement in the testing to include more tests for a specific area that currently I think it is not covered, can you please advise what is the best way to do it?
To do what? Sorry, say again.
So there are some tests that I perform locally with CPUs, and
Yes.
I've noticed that, like, I'm interested in this feature, the in-place pod vertical scaling, and I'm working in a patch to allow it to be done with the CPU manager and the CPU static policy. And for this, it's very important to do the test with extra enabling feature gates, which, for example, I noticed that this is not today. I push some commits for my work in the local, but I noticed that in the tests that we perform currently, those are not covered. And I was wondering, is this something that should I just write PRs? Should I present the idea to a forum like you guys or in the Slack?
I don't understand. You say that there is a test and you need to enable a feature get, or do you want to add a new test? Oh, Arnold, you have your hand, sorry.
It is adding a new test, and this test, in order to be executed, it requires the cluster to start it with a combination of feature gates, which currently is not done.
So there are two things here. You can add whenever you want. You are more than welcome to add tests. I mean, that's don't think about that. If you have any two tests that you can write, just send a PR. The other thing is the tests and the deployment are independent. So your cluster has to be created with those feature flags. The test has a special tag in that we use in the title to filter, right? That's the convention we use. So the test cannot be smart to detect, there is a feature flag or there is no flag, right? The test runs and assert on the feature that you want to test, right? And it's the cluster that has to have the capabilities and the operator that runs the test who has to filter the specific test. So the
Okay,
thing
so
is, where do you want to run this test?
on any system that is capable which has CPUs and it allows to do CPU static allocation. So I'm
Check
not.
if you can use Kind. I don't know if with Kind. So with Kind you can run E2E test in your laptop and use the feature gates and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So let
Mhm.
me. We have also documentation for that.
Okay, because I'm using this local app cluster, which is quite good for my case because.
Oh, then use that. Okay.
Okay, so in the case I would like to create a cluster with some specific features. So this, I need to do it in the test infra, correct? Or?
Right. In this case, so for example, in local cluster app, there is an environment variable, or in the bash script, I don't remember, that you can define these feature flags that you want to enable, right? So,
Correct.
okay. So
And
if you want to run this in the CI, you have to look for a job that already sets this feature flag or create the job.
okay, so this I did it, as you say, but then I ended up in this bug that exists in the local app cluster. I've been this Docker in Docker. There is a kernel bug. I think you have pushed it as well. And these blocks, we cannot even put anything in the local app cluster to commit because of this. So I raised it a little bit in the issues, which
I
this
don't know.
currently blocks.
I use Kind. People use local, that I know for local. Cluster is mostly for API related development, right? Because it's everything local and you don't have all these things.
Okay, then
But
I think that's a good advice. Then I will try to use the kind and see how it goes. Okay.
there is some document in the we have in the page. Look for run E2E test with Kind, and it gives you. And in the documentation, you have how to enable feature gates, and it gives you a Kubernetes in Docker with and each Docker is like a node, right? So I don't know if you need to understand if your feature can be emulated there. I don't know enough
Yeah.
for CPU pinning, but
Okay.
otherwise, I mean,
Okay. I will just put the links of these related things that I have.
okay, let me show.
So the first one is this, as you said, with the local app cluster, but then I'm failing with this issue that it is, I think it's related with the kernel that when you, so I've created in staging this, I think it is down for 1 to 2 months now, and I think it's related with the kernel. So anyway, but I think we cannot solve it now. I just thanks for your advice and happy to join. I think it's nice.
Arno, you have your hands up.
Yeah, I put in the Zoom chat basically a script that bootstrap a Kind cluster and enable feature gates like NFTable, for example, which is like still alpha. So that's like an example of how you can basically enable a specific feature gates. And check in the Zoom chat, you will see an example. I'm looking at also SIG nodes, also doing a lot of feature gating regarding CPU management. So I will say check the proud job. I'm trying to find one. Yeah, this one I put basically enable CPU manager feature during the test. So you can basically look into that. So by looking at basically your pull request, let me see. I'm trying to basically quickly read on this. I don't think you need a specific kind of CPU to run those tests because whatever you're doing is.
Yeah, in the end, it should be control groups and physical CPUs. Yeah.
Control boost might be tricky because the test you use, not is it C groups V1 or V2?
I don't care, but I saw that you do a trick. So if it is C groups V2, you do some symbolic links to emulate it. So I think it's okay. It's something. I think that it's up to the kubelet runtime. It's speak up. So I don't think I will have any problems. But this setup, I can also have it in my local and play around. So
Yeah, because I would not
Mm.
advise to basically touch local up cluster because a lot of maintainer might use those tests and have like different kind of distributions they want to test
Okay.
locally. So I'd like basically like Antonio say like kind, if you look at the square post, might help you bootstrap a local Kubernetes cluster and enable a few feature regarding basically relate to I don't add visual hardware. If you basically want to enable, I think the CPU manager might be enabled by default on the
Okay.
latest version of kind clusters, but
Mhm.
check because the recent version of kind is like create a Kate cluster on 129. So I think the CPU manager might be enabled by default.
Yeah, so it's a GA. Mhm.
If
Okay.
you feel like, CPU manager is stable since 126. So yeah, you should be able to have that enabled by default, but you can tweak any flags or basically flags related to the kubelet, do whatever you want.
Okay.
And SIG node is basically the group owning all of this. If you feel like you have a question regarding CPU management.
Okay. Super. Thanks for the info. Thanks.
Awesome. And yeah, welcome. Good to have you. Well, I think that's the end of our agenda currently. So if anybody has anything else to discuss, just feel free to speak up now.
Off the record.
Yeah, I think we can call it now. So, thanks, folks. I will stop recording.
Thank you.